Welcome to the Nailed It Wall.
On this week's episode of the Nailed It Wall, we are honored to have our guest, Myra Romano.
Woo-hoo!
Many times we've talked about her impact, what a fan she is of the Nailed It Wall, and all of her support throughout the year. It's going to be a great episode. Buckle up and enjoy the ride. Welcome to episode 45 of the Nailed It Wall. I'm Mr. Lane, the STEM guy.
And I'm Mrs. Schofield.
And I'm Myra.
Yes, she is here. Well,
Yes.
Not really. We are back. Respect the social bubbles. We are recording this podcast via Zoom. Shout out to Zoom again.
Yes.
This is a normal way of life, and apparently, after Doug Ducey's announcement in Arizona, it's going to be a continued way of life.
Yeah.
I have not yet told my kids the news. I do not have it in me because my son is just itching to see his buddies there. But as we'll come back to that, it's a tough one. It's a tough pill to swallow, people. But as we start off every episode, we want to talk about how did we nail it this week? Schofield, how did you nail it this week?
I really should have mentally prepared for this. I would say for me, probably.
I got notes. I took notes. I can go first if you need a hot minute.
Do you want to jump in, Myra?
I don't care. It's up to you.
Go ahead. Yeah, take it away.
I'm a little tense, so.
We love it.
All right, so failed it. My wallet got stolen at UT at 75th and Deer Valley last Saturday. I was on the other side of my big Yukon, and I had taken my Visa out and then popped it back in and just laid it on my passenger side seat. And I went to go to Walmart and pay for the groceries, and I was like, son of a gun, my wallet's gone. They got my wallet at the QT. So
no.
That set in effect a whole chain of, they took my driver's license. I had no cash because I never have cash. But
yeah, I was going to say, I wouldn't even need my wallet for that because there's none.
It was my driver's license that proved to be the hardest to get because of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And everything, the BMV is shut down. And I don't have my driver's license number because I'm not that prepared to have that. I just don't have that. So I was unable to get my driver's license replaced, and it's been an issue since then. I have finally come to find out that the way you can get your driver's license number is through your insurance company, like Progressive. If you call and cry, they'll help you.
Oh, note to self. I'm going to have to try that.
I got a paper license coming in the mail, but that was the hardest thing to get redone.
Did we catch the person? Did we get him on QT? Or is we got to sick Bonham on? Bonham will be on the trail. She'll hunt this person down.
She will.
I didn't get in it, but I caught it soon enough that they didn't even get to use my Visa. So that was, like I say, the driver's license was the hardest part of it all, but it kind of made a chain effect from there with no driver's license.
It's a brutal feeling. It's super violating. And the good thing is it's really bad when you can't find your wallet. So you have that unknown, like, did I lose it? Did someone take it? It kind of helps if someone just like legit straight up stole it.
I knew right away because I hadn't gone anywhere other right from QT to Walmart to get the groceries.
Mm-hmm.
And then the cashier was so sweet. She's like, holy macaroni. And she paid
is that a direct quote?
Yeah. She paid for my groceries, and I Venmo'd her the money because
what?
It was all types of so there was a lot of with the nailed and failed, and I had a lot of support from
talk about some good people in the world there.
Oh my gosh, that
some
really
good news.
Amazing.
Like John Krasinski would love this story.
I know he would. I am so touched by that. Kudos to that person.
Even then, I went to Culver's, and I'm like, I can use my Apple Pay, and they were like, we don't take Apple Pay. And then the manager came over and she's like, well, we'll foot your $51 bill for 6 people to eat here. And I was like, seriously?
Oh my goodness. Gee, Culver's.
A lot of help. So that was really nice.
I love this. I'm getting pumped up already with the good news here. And you told us you had no stories to tell.
Wow.
Now, Schofield, how can you top that?
I can't. I would like to just go on. I should never have let you go first. That was a huge mistake. That was a failed it on my part. Yeah, no, you're good. So I would say for me, as Rob knows, my dad's car has been like a source of stress for me because we brought it back from California spring break, right? And it needed to have something done with it, but I didn't know what. I just know that I dragged something from California to here, and a part of it fell out. And so I knew that seemed like it needed to go back, but I didn't know exactly what that was. So we dropped it off at this guy's auto body shop. Is that what you call it? And he's been really cool, but it's been in the shop for a while. But I'm happy to report I finally was able to like connect with the guy, and we got it in time for Ella to take that down to the DMV yesterday, and she got her license. And so it's a big deal to have my dad's car on the road, you know, with my daughter, and it was just like such a celebration feeling for me and a huge sense of relief.
Is that the Audi that sits in your driveway?
No need to say. Okay, I would just like to say to my listeners, you know, like, yes, but it was my dad's car.
I love it.
Yeah,
No, that makes my heart so happy. The whole thing around. That's all I was meaning. I'm glad.
I mean, definitely that was not my first car I got to drive. Let me tell you, it was not, you know, but it's pretty nice. And it was cool because the guy that worked on it, he said when I picked it up a couple of times, what a good, solid, reliable car it's going to be for her, which made me feel super safe. And that made me happy as she's wanting to drive off last night to Chick-fil-A and In and Out. And I was like, even I don't even want to go to those driveways, you know, just because, it's a little bit tough for any driver. So anyway, that was a huge celebration. And I feel like I persevered. I came out okay through it. I mean, I was kind of a mixed, nailed it, failed it, but that's mine.
Sweet.
That was a pretty good one. Congratulations to Ella.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Great start to her driving career. I'm jealous. Ryan now wants an Audi when he gets to high school. So
no pressure.
You've totally raised the bar.
Yeah.
So I'm feeling a lot of pressure already. I'm starting to save up your Audi right now, Ryan, if you're listening. My nailed it is, as we talked about, parents just having to be creative. Yesterday, we had a rare cool day in Arizona, and so much of my things are just family related. They're kids related just because that's who we're with 24/7 in this crazy time, you know. And it was a breezy day yesterday, and I took the kids. We had a picnic by the lake, you know, like we had our lunch boxes. I wrote like school notes in there, just like we would for a regular school day. And then, you know, we took the kites out. So we had the kites flying, and Mackenzie had this one kite flying. I probably for 20 minutes straight, and the thing was up there, and she was just doing tricks, and it was just so fun. And then I told someone, they're like, man, I haven't heard of people flying kites since like the 90s, you know. And it was just it was a fun day for me and the kids, and that was my nail day.
Were there anybody else? Was it like anybody else out there? It's like such a good day for that.
It was. And I think people were riding by the bikes. They're like, Mr. Lane, you know, so I was flying the kites, and people driving cars. You know, Mackenzie's like way up there. It was crazy. I was afraid she was going to hit a power line, but then I realized there's no power lines around. This is Arizona.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it was a beautiful day for that. I mean, I like that you said it's a cool day in Arizona because it's all relative, right? But we savor anything that's like, under 100? I mean,
that's the way I was this morning. I'm like, there's a breeze out there. I'm like, get on the bike. So I was waiting for the kids to wake up, you know. And
you're like, it's practically chilly. Well, you said the other day when you wanted to go in for a night swim that you're like, it was chilly. It's just, we have different, you know, thresholds for what's cool and what's hot at this point. So.
Well, I think we got to address the elephant in the room. Yesterday, Governor Ducey announced that schools will not be open until August 17th. And we talked about this. We went on break on March 17th, and this was going to be we're going to be at 6 months by the time our kids have left the classroom and are physically in the classroom with teachers. And they've also announced that remote learning can start on August 3rd, which is a tough way to start any year. We talked about Myra and Cam starting high school. And it is a tough pill for everyone to swallow. Teachers, parents, the world is just going crazy in Arizona. And Arizona is such a hot mess right now in terms of COVID cases. My wife works in the healthcare field, and it's just a nonstop battle. And just it's insane. Now, Myra, what was your first reaction as a parent?
Well, I had to take a really deep breath, Mr. Lane. And I'm continuing to take those deep breaths, and oof, totally torn, as you can tell. There's so many sides to it, and I don't have a good answer on that one, unfortunately. COVID just, yeah.
For anyone that doesn't know, Myra has three boys at home, and you've had a lot of together time. And two of them
the
are
twins. Our twins are going to eighth grade. So they're going to be starting a big eighth grade year. Mrs. Schofield, Science of Schofield, in the eighth grade team.
Excited about that.
Cam is off the ridge, playing basketball and started in high school.
And so that basketball at Ridge, Cameron had started basketball when he was in fourth grade and had done a whole lot of basketball there. And so, basketball was life for a long period of time, played on all the club teams. And so not having basketball has been really challenging. Like you said, to the weather, we can't really play basketball out there. It's just too hot, and you really need to be with others to play basketball. Like, that's kind of it. So they started at Ridge. They did a very modified 1 hour basketball practice at 8:15 in the morning for 1 hour. And they had to wear masks and bring their own basketball. And it was basically a lot of dribbling. And so they sent out yesterday, before governor's announcement, that they were going to do another camp starting July 6th. And it was going to be a more intensive 2 hours long, 8:30 instead of 8:15. But we just got the information that they can't start that either. I forget what the acronym is for the association that controls all of that for the schools, but they shut everything down again. So it's not looking very promising that any sports will be back in the
Which
fall.
has got to be tough for Cam, because I'm sure he's waited to play, high school ball for years and years.
That's what I was getting to with the fourth grade. Thank you, Mrs. Schofield. This was what he was working for since fourth grade, and now it's like, wow. So we're working to find some type of new footing. That might be the best way that I could put it. And that's why I'm kind of struggling to come up with the right words.
No, I think you nailed it.
And I think it's hard too. So much of my kids' fall experience in our family is going to the O'Connor football games and just taking that in, like sitting in the end zone with all the teachers and my kids playing football and my daughter watching the cheerleads, and it's the Palm team, like really kind of sets the bar, and my daughter puts on her own halftime performance, and to tell my kids and be like, I don't think we're going to have high school football, and like if they do, there's not going to be any fans, and this is the world we live in, and it's insane that 5 Friday nights out of the year, that's where we were, like in that end zone, watching those kids, inspiring our kids, kind of get them excited. And so it's a hard thing to kind of understand. And, Cam's such a kid that loves basketball, but not even having basketball on TV, and kind of seeing this back and forth about the bubble they're creating in Orlando, and trying to even bring that back at the highest level. And, so many players kind of going back and forth, fighting. Is this safe? Is this best for everybody? And this is the time where the NBA playoffs are going on, and where I'd spend my summers, watching all these playoffs, and that part's missing.
Yeah. And I think for I know for Cam and his group of friends, the social aspect of the basketball, like the impromptu meetups at the park, and I know that was hard for you to navigate early on when the weather was still nice and things were kind of it was tough to know what was the right thing to do, as far as like, do you let them do that, do you not? But you have 3 boys pent up in a house since March, and that's a lot. It's a lot. And so for his for everybody's what's the balance between what's safe physically and what's right for kids emotional well-being is really, really hard, I'm sure, for you to navigate as a mom,
Yeah, I struggled a lot, but like all of you have helped me so much because you take my texts at 10 in the morning. Like, do I let him do this?
Yeah. I mean, it's
Is
hard.
this what I do at this point? And you have helped, and you have gotten the right people involved with me to help me to be able to say, and I took a breath. And the other thing that I had started back in the beginning of last year was I had started reading a book called The Gratitude Diaries. And so that has been one of my biggest saviors through the whole thing. Was The Gratitude Diaries is this awesome book. It's all about, the author spends a year living gratefully and how she transforms her marriage, family life, work, and health. And it's just basically where you take a breath every day at a certain time, and you think about what is one thing that you were grateful for today, and it rebuilds your mindset, and it helps you to positively grow. It's the only thing that I have been able to take through with the COVID. So like I started on 10/8/19 last year, and the only thing that I could get out was I made it to the gym and I made a green smoothie.
Sometimes
and that was
it.
That was it. And then the next day, 10/9, I went to therapy. Yeah. I go to therapy. I have gone to therapy for about 8 years now, and that has been another thing that has really, really helped me get through all of the things. I can't speak enough to how that helps with mental health in the smallest of all issues. So the gratitude journal and therapy, I've continued to do some therapy through COVID, but only like this Zoom. I Zoom my therapist, and but it helps so much.
For you, I've seen your stuff that you post about your gratitude things. I think that there's a couple really cool things that I've noticed that you do. Number one, you're doing your gratitude, but then you're incorporating your illustration gifts. And a lot of times you will illustrate the things that you're grateful for. And I think that's really cool that you're tapping into that side, because I've seen you put pictures of things up that you've kind of sketched out that go along with that. And I think those are really
that is so sweet. Thank you so much for saying that.
And then
part of my goal was like 3 years ago, with where the kids are now, we chose, when we finally were able to have kids, that I would be a stay-at-home mom, which was a huge difference for me, because for the first 10 years of our marriage, I was always working full time. When I stopped working, I was a creative director for Smucker's, Jif, Crisco, the jams and jellies and peanut butter, back when I lived in Ohio. And it was just so different not going to work and then being a full-time stay-at-home mom. So in the last 3 years, now that the kids are in high school or almost in high school, I was trying to get back into, I would like to be a children's book illustrator. My degree is in fine arts, illustration, and advertising. So when I started the gratitude journal last year, I thought if I could write one line and illustrate that would get me back into drawing every day, and then try to social media it. So
no, you're crushing it. And I think like what you talked about, the social emotional health is going to be so important for parents, families, everyone dealing with COVID, the job loss, financial strain, and these kids. And it's going to be such a hard time. So I'm glad that you address that aspect, because that is so important. And I have to tell you, in terms of the gratitude journal, I mean, I was having a tough day with my kids. I think I might have been snapping at Ryan, and all of a sudden your car pulled over and you're like, is that Mr. Lane? And I always blame Ryan, like he's my handful sometimes, but not that Mackenzie's not. But so we're just on a scooter ride. This is the beginning of it. We went 10 days in, and then all of a sudden I see Gavin pop out, and we were still And out of there came this most beautiful breathe, exhale rock. And every time I walk through my door, I have that rock sitting there, and I always stop to look down, and it reminds me to breathe and exhale. And, like that made my day there. And just, just a random act of kindness where we crossed paths, and I got to see Gavin from our esports club. And I told you, I tweeted it out, so, it's just those little things in lives, I love that you shared that, and just taking some time and find that positivity and what's important in life.
How has the rock painting been as far as being an outlet of something? I feel like, for all of us, when COVID hit, we got to the point where we lost a lot of our outlets, like our social outlets, we lost our outlets for creativity in a lot of ways, and just all of that. And how did you decide to put so much into the rock painting? Like, how did you get back into that? Or have you always been doing that?
I hadn't always been rock painting, and I still feel a little bit funny when people are like, hey, what you doing? I'm like, I'm painting rocks. It just sounds a little like, you got a pet rock. Oh,
no, they're beautiful. Yeah. Yeah. So how did you get into that?
It happened that it was just a couple days into quarantine, and Mike and I had been walking to potentially have a hot minute out the house away from the boys. And so we would go on 3-mile-long walks, and we rounded the corner of our neighborhood park, and I had just seen they had just put up the yellow caution banners all around the park, and we were like, oh
yeah, it's hard to process that. Yeah.
And I looked down, and there was this really beautiful blue rock, and it said inhale, exhale, and I was like, wait, I'm sorry, about that. And I just took a picture of it and left it there for the next person. And when I got home, I uploaded the picture and was like, yep, somebody's saying something again. I mean, they took a rock and basically pounded me over the head that I have got to continue to stop and breathe and put things back in perspective. So that was the next rock that I made then, and that was the rock that I gave to Mr. Lane. So from there, it just kind of, I started doing that as my gratitude journal. So I stopped drawing my gratitude journal, and I started doing it on rocks.
You have a great collection of rocks behind you. I mean, look at those flat rocks. I mean, I feel like you've been at the beach, where
gorgeous.
The waves would just smooth those things out. To find those in the desert is impressive.
The smoother the better. No, I didn't get all of those from here. So it turned out that I was doing I did about a month of these rocks, and they started to pick up on Instagram, and I started doing houses and cars, and I started making little villages because, again, I know I'm a little left of center, and I just want to make little villages and dolls and stuff like that. So I started making those, and then I started making kits because people wanted something to do with their kids during COVID. And so I made little PDFs of how to paint rock villages and cars, and started to put those out on my Instagram. From there, I got a random email from an art director who works with a company, a publishing house in the New England states, up in Kennebunkport,
Maine. Oh my goodness,
yeah.
backyard. I was like, I love it. Oh my god, it's so beautiful there. If you've never been to Kennebunkport,
I can't even believe that's a real place.
It is.
The George Bush Sr. has a house there. It's the Bush compound, and goes right up there.
That's the name of the city?
Kennebunkport.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
Learn something.
Yeah, and he's like, hey, I've been following your rocks. We would like to do a rock kit. Would you be interested in being the artist and the author for this rock kit? And I was like, I'm sorry, this just seems like spam.
Wise, it's wise to check that out.
Right. And he's like, no, it's real. And then he sent me the company of the publisher, and I was like, well, this is a publisher that has been on my 3-year goal list to try to be a children's book author, illustrator. I would like to sell a manuscript and write a children's book for this company.
Wow.
And from there, it just kind of, we started to talk about what that looked like, and would I be interested in making 16 rocks and a how-to book and include all of the steps and take all the pictures and that type of thing. So the I was overjoyed and ecstatic. The biggest part of it was that I only had 30 days to do it. It came in on June 1st, and I had to have it done by today at midnight. So
is it done? Okay, I was gonna say, I was like, I don't want to be taking.
I nailed it.
All right,
That should have been your nailed it. And I love that I call you the day before a big deadline, not even knowing, and you carve out. You didn't even say
I totally was like, yes, this works, when I was taking my notes of what I want to nail it and feel it. So that was my nailed it. I know I remember talking to Mrs. Schofield back on June 1st and saying, I don't know how I can make this deadline.
I do remember.
The only way I was able to make it was with the help of my family and my husband, who just was like, I will carve out this time for you. And the kids have been really supportive and helpful. So,
you know, one thing, Myra, that I was just remembering too is, you know, what a gift for you, because right when we broke for, you know, whatever, like we thought we were doing spring break, right? And then we didn't ever come back. You were supposed to start these like little mini book signing tours, because you just had a book released where you had illustrated. That was your second book, right? That you had illustrated. Such a big deal. I know you were so excited. And then all of that came to a screeching halt for you. And so to have this come up, you know, from when you just did like a natural outpouring of like, you turned a situation that was not ideal into an opportunity just for the emotional health of it. And then there was this huge gift that came out of it, which is pretty cool.
100%. Like, I'm still, when I look back on it, just like, I'm not sure that happened. That just is really, so I try to keep myself down, centered, and processing on that, because that was really amazing.
Because we wanted to come to your, remember, we were going to
surprise you at one of your book signings.
Yeah, that was on our plan, and then you know, COVID.
And I'm like, you can't tell her. You can't tell her. It's going to be a surprise. We'll be there.
And so we're so happy for you. I'm so proud of you.
Now, what is the title of the book, and when can we see this book dropping on Amazon?
It's I don't have the title. It's like, I just finished all of the writing for it late last night, and so it's in the editor's hands right now. It will drop and be ready for the Christmas time, so it'll come out in like October, and I think it's going to several of like the warehouse stores like Costco or Sam's Club.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Love both of those places. Actually, only one of them, but
I was gonna say,
I know that. I hear you on that too.
Now, talking about the power of social media, you know, and like what crazy times, and you know, like you like kind of think about like everything happens for a reason, and you know, we always love to hear like how social media is being used in a positive way. Me and you both love Twitter, and like we get so much out of Twitter, and we just think it's such a powerful thing. But you know, for this to be on Instagram, and good thing you had your guard up. You're like, someone just stole my wallet. I don't trust you. I mean, you probably stole my wallet. Like, you know. And what's the name of the publishing company?
They're called Cider House Press Mills.
Nice, I love it.
Yeah.
So what's been the best forum for you with your art, your artistic side, you know, you being an illustrator and wanting to kind of, and I know you want to actually author a book, and I think that this goes hand in hand, but I also kind of get the feeling that you want to like a story as well, you know, that's kind of your next move. But which social media platform has been the best for you to get, you know, kind of exposure and professionally where you grow and kind of can share out, like what things have been useful for you?
You want to do Instagram. and you want your Instagram handle to be your name because that's your art. So you don't want like a catchy, like I used to be called Cinnamon Heart Studios because I love cinnamon hearts. Anything cinnamon is my favorite thing. But people would be really confused, like, I don't understand who Cinnamon Hearts is. So I had to rebrand and redo my Instagram to be Myra Romano Illustration. That helps a lot, actually. And then I needed to build a website. So I used Squarespace to build a website and also had my shopping cart run through the Squarespace platform. So I can take credit cards actually through that.
How did you figure all that out?
Those two things help. I did used to, that was part, when I worked at Smucker's, I worked in the internet part of it. So I was writing code and building websites, like with the style sheets and using Photoshop and HTML and Java and that type of stuff.
Why do I not know this already? Why?
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
You're dropping bombshells on us, man. You're like the original code star, you know?
Yeah.
Well, not so much. It was when I graduated from college, it was 1995. And I had just taken Photoshop on the old Lisa computers, and Photoshop it was a black and white. And they would be like, so do your art and envision it in color on the computer, because all we had was black and white. So I started on that and worked through up to the big guys now.
The Lisa, Steve Jobs named it after his daughter there, you know?
I would still love to have an old school Lisa and turn it into a fish tank. I think there's
that'd be awesome. Now, and I love how you and your husband do such a great job incorporating your boys into the Kiva planks, anything you can do, get them to be creative. What have been some of the highlights that you've had with the boys over this pandemic?
Dominoes and puzzles. Those were the two big things. And before it got crazy hot, hiking. It's just way, way too hot, even going far away here to hike.
The snakes are out. The snakes are out.
And the insects, like on the trails, they swarm, and it's really not a pleasant opportunity to do such a thing. I would love to kayak like you guys have. That's on the list. That would be our next goal, is to get one of the kayaks.
I highly suggest it. Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. Make sure you get the back support on there.
Yeah, don't worry.
That's key.
We're going to set him up next time. It really is. Trust me.
Now,
I'm going to do that.
Now with the twins, what has been the hardest thing for your twin boys with school closing, and, what have they struggled with, with this whole
when the internet goes down, Mr. Lane, when the internet goes down. Like it just went down this morning. I was like waking up at 7:30. Mom, I can't get online. Did you turn it off? Because that was the other thing, was I did get a new panoramic router and have the ability to turn off from the bed or from the line at Chick-fil-A, anybody's particular device when needed.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's powerful right there.
Inspiration to everybody.
Nice little app on my phone, and I'm like, I'm sorry, what did you just say? And I just pick up the app and get my thumb hovering, ready to go.
That is amazing. Wait, I was just gonna. So you Lane said something about the esports thing. So can you kind of talk about that whole thing for them, because your boys were pretty active when we would do the tournaments and stuff.
That was the holy grail, Mrs. Schofield. That was the lifeline, the preserver, everything. The boat from Titanic when it's going. That was.
So how do you feel as a parent? Because I think it's a little tough for us to navigate. Like, there's not a lot of places the kids can go right now.
No.
How do you feel about them gaming, and what's that been like?
I'm down. I am. And not both of the twins aren't always. I have one that wants to that could IV into it.
Yeah.
The other one has to have 10, 20-minute intervals, and then he'll be like, I'm just completely done. So he is growing a garden in his bedroom. That was the other thing is I bought an air garden for him because he wanted to garden, and I have no green thumbs at all. So yeah, the air garden, he's growing tomatoes in his room.
That is amazing. I've never heard of an air garden. Have you?
Oh, they're really, really cool. Yeah.
I thought you were joking. Like I thought that was like all that he could keep alive was air. So I was like, I think I would nail that right there.
People give you fake plants, and you're like, I'm going to kill it, and they're like, it's impossible.
I'm terrible. I'm terrible with that. I tell people like this is not my gift. You know.
Yes, the air garden, and he has a fish tank that recycles the water, and the fish tank on top of it also grows. So he's growing herbs in that.
Wow.
He likes salads, so it's a thing.
Yeah. Wow, this is impressive. I feel like I gotta get my kids out there doing more.
The esports thing, I mean, yeah, I just again put it in perspective, like literally, I can make them read, and they would, but they're getting different things out of the participating in that esports league. They had to figure out how to get in that room to begin with. They had to learn time management. They set their alarms on their little phones so that they could get on 10 minutes early so they could make sure they got in that room.
That's awesome.
That to me means more than not being online, if that makes sense. It was because that's like the soft skills, the life stuff. Mm-hmm. If you can just learn how to schedule your day and make sure you eat and use the restroom, that'd be good.
Showering. I wouldn't mind Sam just popping in that shower a little bit.
I mean, every third day you get in that shower, I'm going to give you some special accolades.
That's what I'm talking about. I know.
Now, we love your boys. You're raising some amazing kids there. Now, I know you must be having a hard time. You're so active on campus and helping out. And, and then now this year, it's like you've been such a powerful volunteer on our campus. And then that part is taken away from you. Can you talk about from the parent side where it's like now guests are no longer going to be able to visit campus? I mean, how many projects has she helped you out with this year?
So much. Well, because you came in for Moxie, she came in to help with the lab day and the tie dye, and remember with our shirts, the Rubik's shirts.
Oh yeah, the design. Huge
the design for that. Yeah. So like,
you should talk about what they do with Moxie. I thought that was such a powerful day. We should have led with that. We'll come back to this question, but I just want you to talk about what Myra came in for Moxie.
I get the goosebumps when I think about it because that was all part of, do I stay home as a full-time mom or do I go back to work? And I was like, if I'm staying home, I want to try to, I'm a fan of the kids and doing things with them or with their school or how I could support that type of thing to help build their perspective. So I still get the goosebumps thinking that is not going to be there for the younger kids coming in at kindergarten.
I know. There's something lost because
and teachers.
Yeah, know, for me, well, you even as you were just talking, I just remembered like two other things. Like when I needed those plug-in kettles, like the electric kettles, like you summoned them up, and then there was another thing that my play when I needed you to help me with the costume thing. Like,
that was so fun.
Like I'm realizing I'm kind of going to go into I'm a little bit in trouble this year. But
so
when you came in, so when I asked you to come in to help out with the Moxies when they were doing their storyboarding, it was funny because you said, you were listening to the pod and you could hear that we had, kind of a lot going on. And you said, I could help with the girls. And then I realized, it was for the drone competition, right? Yeah. So for the drone competition that we were doing, they needed to kind of tell a story, and you came in and you did a presentation to the girls about just kind of how you map things out. And it was so powerful for the girls. Number one, you don't have a daughter there. And so I think we've always been touched, but then you see it with the kids when people take the time to invest in kids that they don't even necessarily have a specific, like there's no specific connection. It's just that you want to do something for other people and you have that heart. And so it was really, really a beautiful thing for me to see you with the girls. And I know that they loved, they were some characters, right? We would walk around and you and I were just cracking up that day. But it was really cool because you got to kind of explain to them how you approached what you do and how that can actually help them and what they were going to be starting as far as like telling a story and painting a picture and like how you do that. So what was that like for you?
That was like my opportunity.
Oh, that's not good.
Uh-oh. Did somebody hit the button?
No, what I'm wondering is it.
Wait, hold on. You're back.
All right. You have to go again because it froze.
All right, so you started with like, I thought somebody hit the button at your house. I thought the boys were reversing tricking on you. So you're talking about.
I'm the only one. I got all of it right here. Not even Mike has to.
Hilarious.
Oh no, it's me. Your internet connection is unstable.
No, you're fine. So go on talking about your opportunity to work with the girls.
I was like, hey, Myra, here's your opportunity to step up and show the teachers how grateful you are for what they've done, because everything that you just said, Mrs. Schofield, is everything that's in my heart that I see for you. You guys are giving back to kids that aren't yours every single moment of your entire day, even when you're home sleeping, like you're dreaming up the next sweet thing that you're going to present to them, like, hey, let's do a STEM lab, or hey, let's learn how to do a podcast, because that's real. Those are like real marketable skills for 2024. Because I just had to fill out the registrations and I'm like, oh my gosh, Cameron's graduating in 2024.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And so I'm seeing you guys putting everything that you have into trying to get them ready to graduate in those years. So I was like, I've got to figure out how can I give back even a third of what I see those teachers giving to the kids that aren't theirs every single day.
Well, the cool thing is I don't think people really realize, like for us, that's like we eat, sleep, breathe. That's what, like, we love getting to do what we do. Like we're very passionate. We love being teachers. Like it's who we are, but we have there's only so much we can do individually, but then collectively, every time someone partners with you, it just extends how much richer and what that experience is going to be like. And it's just an amazing feeling. And I know you feel the same way, that when someone says, hey, I'd like to throw something in too and kind of do that, help out. And it's just because I don't have that background in what you did for the girls. And there were a lot of aha moments and their storylines. I don't even know if you remember, but those girls came up with some of the coolest things that day. It was like chills. Like I just kept getting chills every time I'd hear them talk. So it was just a really cool opportunity or experience for me.
And the cool thing too is, you're a different kind of silent partner too. Cause whenever I'm riding my longboard in the neighborhood, and if I see a CR Verde Rubik's Cube shirt, I get excited. I'm like, oh man, we screen press that,
Yeah.
and you were in there on the spot and you're like, I'll buy this font, you're like, it's $2.99,
That's right.
And you just bought that font like on the spot, and that's your design, and you think about those little things that are an impact. And like this year has to be hard for you as a parent. Cam's going into high school, your boys are going into 8th grade. Like, there's potential that, you're not going to be able to assist on campus, which has been such a big part of your life. Talk about like, me and Mrs. Schofield often talk about what a special place Sierra Verde is. We wouldn't want our kids going anywhere else on the planet, and just so fortunate. So just kind of talk about your experience. I know how much teachers value you, because you always pick them up and you're always the first one to kind of pick them up. But as a parent, talk about what SV has meant to you and your family.
SV has meant everything. It is the reason that we switched. We were going to a private school when Cameron was in 2nd grade and the twins were in 1st grade. And we pulled them out in the middle of the year when Sierra Verde had 3 open spots in 1st grade and 2nd grade. And we were like, we're in. We've got to get in. How do we do this? So that was how important it was for us back then because of the method of teaching that Sierra Verde does, which is, to me, when you boil it down, it's hands-on learning. And I was trying to find that atmosphere where my children, particularly their learning style, works best. And it's been hands-on learning. And that for us has been the hardest part through COVID with distance learning is they're hands-on. They learn best by being hands-on and doing in-school activities, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I treasure all of that learning opportunity time for them. So Sierra Verde fosters that environment and works through the ups and downs through open communication, a lot of transparency, and it's been the best thing for them. And I am hoping that somehow the new normal can still include that.
Yeah, and I think that's a hard thing I'm having as a teacher and parent. You've been taking it a little better than myself, where Deer Valley hasn't released like what our guidelines are, but we looked at Tucson's yesterday, and there was like no collaborative learning. And I was like, how are you taking this so well? I'm like, that's your whole class. I'm like, that's what I do. I'm like, I just have groups going on the floor, building Kiva planks, Legos, like
working
iPads.
with cardboard
Yes.
and cutting
Yes.
and making pinball machines out of air, which is what my kids learn best by. Just that whole process, even if it doesn't turn out.
But why did I say I was calm?
I don't know. I forget. I know it was just yesterday, but you said we'll figure it out. I think that's what you said.
I said because it's true. Like if that's ripped out from our toolbox, here's the thing. It's a non-negotiable for both of us. Like it's a non-negotiable. We have to find a new way. That's it. Like we just have to find a new way to do it. There's no way we cannot have that learning environment in our classroom. So if we can't do it the normal way, then now we have to figure out how we're going to do it, because there's no way we can just give that up. There's just no way. So it's just kind of a challenge for us to figure out, like, okay, so now what? Now what will we do? Because it is imperative that we figure that out.
I couldn't agree more. And kids get so much out of it, and talk about like those soft skills, those skills for life of just working together. And to think about no collaborative learning is, just taking huge step backs. You talk about like, the progress students might have lost within the fourth quarter and the home learning, and then to have them back there and then not have that, it just, my heart just shrunk a little.
I know. And it's natural to feel that way, right? It's natural to feel that way. And what you just said is so like, it's so true, which I wasn't even thinking about, but these kids are out of practice about socialization.
Mm-hmm.
They're out of practice with working together to solve a problem because they've been also isolated and separated. And you have 3 boys in one house together, but they're probably not collaborating a ton. They're kind of all just doing their own thing. So, we have to get them back in the habit of doing that, but we have to find a new way to make sure they get back in the habit, because otherwise you're sending kids off to high school that are ill prepared to tap into that. And that's one of the best things that we offer the kids. Like that's something that sets us apart like no other place. We are all about collaboration. We're all about that style of learning. And so it would be a missed opportunity and a disservice to our kids if we don't figure out how to keep doing that same, instilling those same skills in them in a way that they can take with them, because they have to take that with them to high school. They just do. They have to.
Amen. I want to be in your boat, whether I am hanging on or you got me on a tube and back.
There's no tubing. So. Tubing has been shut down.
Oh my gosh, right? Specifically tubing.
Yeah, I know, it's so random. I was like, people are tubing. I wasn't even thinking about that, but still, yeah. So, what are your thoughts on that?
Just as I've said many times, these are uncertain times, and as teachers, we're all parents. We're going to embrace this, and we're going to get creative. In the classroom, at home with our own kids, in our lives, and. I think the biggest thing is, I saw Mrs. Englerth on my bike ride this morning, and what did I say? I was like, that just made my day. I was like, that human connectedness, and my kids were dying for water. But like, even in that moment, like I saw like they've lost like that little social thing. They might've been really thirsty, but
they said they were really
Ryan
thirsty.
gave a cute smile, and like, those are, that lady is the world to my kids. And, for me to stop and, be 6 feet away and talk for 5 minutes, it just like, it's hard for me to understand, like, we're in a world like where we're so connected on our campus, and then to think like 6 months, we're not all going to be on that campus together and talking and seeing each other. And I just think about how important those connections are, and how happy I was just to see Mrs. Englert and, have that moment to smile and laugh. And like what you said, you're like, connections are everything, connections make the world go round.
Well, and what's so funny is I was talking to Mrs. Bonham yesterday, and her sister just got married this past weekend. Man, she just barely got in there before the new regulations about, gatherings and stuff. So I'm happy for her. But she was really, really, and we've all been there because we've all had little kids. And when your kids don't behave the way you want them to in a social setting, right? Especially when they're little, and they have like these meltdowns, and it's very public, and it's tough on you as a parent. And she was really kind of bummed out about it and confused. And she said, he doesn't normally ever behave that way. Like, he doesn't act like that. And I have no idea, like, why would he act that way? And then when you realize these kids, no matter if it's a little, all the way up into the upper grades, they have been put into an area of isolation, and they're out of practice. Like, they're out of practice. They're out of practice for social moments. Like, you've run into a couple people where you're like, like, I want my kids to like talk to them or whatever. But, we've kept them in their house, and like, they're not really interacting with a ton of people, and it takes practice. Like, that's stuff that it becomes kind of just your natural behavior when you're doing that all the time. But think about that for a kid that's, okay, I think he's 3. I'm really bad, Bon. I'm sorry if your kid is 2. I don't remember, but 3, something like that. He's around that.
Ouch,
yeah,
like that.
Sorry. I'm really
one of your best friends.
I know. Well,
I'm apologizing for her, Bon.
I barely know the ages of my own kids, I'd like to say, because you asked yesterday if Sam was 13, and I won't lie, I took one beat more than I should have. So anyway, my point is, she was really bummed out about it. And I said, that poor kid has had very little, and then all of a sudden, not only have you surrounded him with a ton of people, but everyone's looking at him, and it's like you forget what that feels like, and it's super, super overwhelming. And if you think about that just from a little kid who's 2 or 3 or whatever, all the way up to Cam's age, or even Ella as a junior or a senior, mm-hmm. whatever, we have to kind of get back into the practice of like, social norms and how you interact, and then go back into a collaborative kind of mentality and being able to communicate effectively again. We're going to have to reteach a lot of these things, because we've forced them to not practice them because we've had to, So,
wow, man, food for thought there. I love it. No, this has been such a good time. It's been long overdue.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Myra, for coming on. This has been,
not enough words of thanks.
And anytime we're in a pinch, we know we can turn to you, and then you're like, I'll have Myra do it. I'm like, yes, let's have Myra do it. And so like, your impact to our campus, and sharing your amazing boys with us, we are better people because of them.
It's true. And we just love the fact that you are such a hands-on participant in education and in their life, but in, all the stuff that you've helped shoulder with us. And we're super, super grateful. And I can't tell you how much it means to us when you reach out after you've listened to one of the pods or just about the pod. It really means so much, because we do our thing and we put it out there, but it really does fill our bucket to hear from you, and just the things that you do to encourage us. So we just, we're really grateful for that.
I just love you guys so much. I am just so grateful to have all of you guys in our lives, and that you put up with our insanity. So
you are hilarious.
Truly. And, everyone can learn from you in terms of how you fill teachers' buckets.
Yeah.
Like, every teacher, it's not just us, it's every
Yeah.
teacher you come across. And I just hear stories and stories and be
Mm-hmm.
like, Myra did this, she gave me this gift basket, she said this. And, when we think about how we end every podcast, we always say, if you can be anything in the world, be kind. And I think you are the true definition,
Mm-hmm.
what comes to mind. And in terms of teachers are going to need love, parents are going to need love, and our kids are going to need the most love in these next, I guess, month and a half. It's going to be
Still out. Jury's still out.
So fingers crossed. And thank you so much for everything, Myra. And I'll
Yeah.
say it one more time, people. If you can be anything in the world, be kind. Now, if you loved hearing stories like this, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Every Tuesday, the latest episode of The Nailed It Wall will be downloaded to your phone or your device. If you're on Twitter, you can find me at Mr. Lane the STEM Guy. You're going to see Myra's book publishing company, some of her posts. I'm going to tweet out her rock, all of our crazy things that we're doing, maybe some kite videos. Follow us on Twitter.
And you can find me at A Positive Proton.
And Myra, what are your social media plugs you want to tag?
I'm at Myra Romano Illustration on Instagram.
And then what's your website name?
Myra Romano Illustration.
Boom. Mind blown.
Check it out.